Pick up a brush, let your colors fly. Paint your dreams across the sky. Every stroke makes my heart sing. Painting makes me feel, oh yeah, like spring.
Our palette today is yellow, red, orange, black, white, pale blue, a mid-colour blue and purple. You could mix your yellow and red together, but orange is a great colour to start with.
You're also going to need a cup of water, nice clean water, some strong tissues, kitchen roll, and then today we're using 4 brushes, a big background wash brush, a round medium brush, a small detail round brush, and on the right, an angled shader, good for doing all sorts of things.
We're going to start today's painting by wash the big background brush, tap off the excess water, and then create a pale blue for the background. We're going to paint this pale blue. It's a bit of white and add a touch of dark blue to it and a touch of yellow. Because that touch of yellow, and then you can see I'm mixing this on the canvas, not on the palette. Because when you mix it on the canvas, you get this rough textured effect of those mixes. And I'm going to place that all on the canvas, and with a tiny bit of water in my brush, because water makes the paint flow a bit easier, you just add some colour, paint over and over and over it. You can see I'm painting every single direction as well. Doesn't have to be in one direction, doesn't have to be smooth. Today, it's all about texture. We're going to do lots of texture in our cow as well. So paint your whole canvas with the pale blue, a little bit of white, some blue, that pale blue that we had originally, a little bit of yellow, and that tiny touch of yellow, not a lot, makes a turquoisey kind of colour. So let's finish up with some pale blue alone, all the way across the bottom of the canvas. And a little bit of water on your brush with the big background brush makes it flow so nicely on your canvas. Gets you a nice smooth finish if you need. Or rough and textured, it's as you wish, it's your canvas. Blue, little bit of blue that's left on the brush. And I'm adding a touch of darker blue and purple to it. So I've just dipped my brush into some purple, a little bit of the darker blue, and I'm going to lay that on the bottom left of the canvas where the cow is not going to be. So slightly darker across the bottom, just to give you a bit of base for colour across the bottom. I'm smoothing mine off, but as I said, it's up to you. You can put blobs of colour, you can smooth it off, you can add more yellow if you wish. This is totally up to you. It's meant to be a nice colourful background. And from here, I'm going to mix a bit of blue and a little bit of black. Tiny bit of black, some of the dark blue and some black, because in this area is where our cow is going to go. So, from the middle of the canvas, side to side, so left to right, we're going to place the first point of our cow's face, the left-hand side of the cow's face, slightly to the left of middle. The top of the cow's head will be at least 3 fingers down from the top of the canvas. I'm just going to put a little mark there, and about 4 fingers in from the right-hand side of the canvas. Those 3 points are cow's head, and that is at about 1/3 of the way down the canvas, the width of the cow's face. And the head, his forehead is much wider than his nose. So across the bottom, right across the middle of the canvas, across the bottom, 4 fingers up, I'm going to place another mark, which will be for where his nose ends. So if you join the line for his nose to that line across the bottom, make a rounded curve for his head and a thinner, rounded curve for his nose. With that blue-black mix, fill it all in. Everything has to be round. So as long as you've got a rounded nose and a rounded head where the forehead is much wider than the nose, try not to make it too pointy, your nose. We are going to add more body to this, but this is our shadow background of our cow. the cow's head. I'm smoothing out the edges. However, we are going to be putting hair on him, which means it doesn't matter if these edges aren't too smooth. And that would be just slightly to the right of the canvas. His chest would be to the right of his chin. His back would be about a third of the way down from the top of his head, straight off to the right hand side of the canvas. So he gets quite a nice big neck area in the middle. Don't make his neck too small, so make his back quite high up, and that will go off and to the right of the canvas and off the edge of the canvas. It doesn't matter if these colours aren't quite mixed as well, they're all shadow. We're going to be painting lots of hair on top of this cow, so as long as you fill this whole area in with that dark colour, that's all good. And if you've got a stretch canvas, don't forget, if you want to, paint around the edge of your stretch canvas. Just smoothing some off. Now I want to paint the ears. We've got a nice round head, so let's paint our cow's ears. Same colour, or even slightly darker. And our cow's ears will be just above his back. So I'm going to put a little ear that comes just above his back on the right hand side, but it stretches over and into his back because his ear is in front of his back. So here's a bit of dark paint so that you can see where the ear actually goes over his back. Same height, which is about 3 fingers from the top of your cow's head. I'm going to do another dark ear on the left-hand side of his face. And I'm painting it into his head because we are going to be putting much more shadow on top of our cow's face from here. But his ear will go slightly over his back, so that's why I'm leaving it a bit darker than his actual back. Let's paint a bit more dark, shadowy colour into his body, especially under his chin. It's the darkest part of his body. So these are all the shadowy bits of his body that I'm painting in currently. Hair will go over it. Wash that brush and set that brush aside. Don't leave any paint in that brush. If you leave any paint in that brush and it dries, it becomes almost impossible to clean. From here I'm moving on to the angled shader. Wet that brush, tap off the excess water, and with this angled shader I want a background to the horn. We're going to put our horns in now. And the horn comes just above the ear on the left hand side. I'm going to start the horn from just above the ear on the left hand side. It will pop in behind the ear. So with my angled shader I'm going to create a pale yellow. Put a mark on your cow's head where the horn starts and put a little dot for where the horn is going to end. I'm going to make it as close to the corner of the canvas as possible, just a little mark. And then your horn can be your shape. I'm doing mine as a background S, so it's got a little bit of a background, a backward S shape to mine. It's the thinnest at the point, so the bottom part of the horn, once you've done the top line of the horn, the bottom part gets a bit wider and fatter as it goes down towards the head. And I'm going to drop this in behind the ear. So stop where you get to the ear, and my horn ends just behind the ear. Thinnest at the outside edge. Do the same kind of shape on the right side, but it'll go off the edge of the canvas. Whatever shape you've done on the left, put that onto the right. Top line first. 3 fingers, at least a few fingers down from the top of the head, because we put the fringe there. And then paint in from behind the ear again, because the horns will go behind the ear. The fringe comes over the top. And our horns will go off the edge of the canvas. Make your own shape. Mine's that backward S shape. Across the bottom of the horn, I'm putting in a dark grey for the shadow of the horn. So this pale yellow is the basic colour of the horn, and while it is still wet, the paint, you add your dark grey to the bottom section for the shadow while your paint is still wet. So work fairly quickly for this, because if you wash and dry your brush off, you'll find you can go over the edge of those colours and blend them in with a clean brush. Top of that horn, or middle of that horn, I'm going to put in a pale orange. So it's a bit of red mixed in with my yellow. Still got a bit of white in there as well. And I'm going to put a bit of orange into the top of the horn. Across the middle, leaving a little bit of yellow right across the top for the shadow, for the highlight of the horn right across the top. And the middle of the horn gets this beautiful pale orange colour. So the shadow part of the horn is across the bottom. And that'll curve with the horn, so it'll follow the curve of the horn. And it doesn't have to be a straight line. You can make it blobs of colour across the bottom of your horn. So the horns. And as long as the paint is still wet, if you wash and dry that brush off, you can blend your colours in very nicely. If they're not wet, put another layer of colour on top. The nice thing about this paint is you can put any colour on top of any colour. So those blobs of colour on the horn, I can go back later and tidy it up, but at the minute I'm just going to leave them as blobs and move on to doing some shadow. In fact, let's put his nose in first. He's got a round nose across the bottom of his chin. So it's an oval to round nose, nice and big, which follows the curve of the bottom of his chin, and you can see it goes a little bit into his body area as well because his head is turned. He's got a nice rounded nose. And I'm using a pale yellow with a touch of that blue-black in it, so it's not too light. It's just a slightly lighter colour with a bit of pale yellow on top of my cow's face. Nice big round oval shape for his nose. Goes slightly over the edge of his body. And now for the middle of his nose. It's a purple. Make a purple with a bit of white and a bit of purple, and his nose ends up being a bit of an X shape. So I'm going to do a smile in the middle of his nose towards the top of his nose, and that would curve in on either side and curve down on the bottom. Curves up on the top, curves in on either side, and down on the bottom. Make a fat kind of X shape in the middle of his nose, in the middle of that yellow circle that we've created. Purple with a bit of white for his nose area. Right hand side and left hand side, because it's curved, we're going to put nostrils on those sides, but that's kind of the shape of our cow's nose. I'm still using the angled shader. Across the bottom of that curve is where his mouth goes. I'm going to fill the whole bottom part of his chin in with black. It's the darkest part of his face, and that is going to be the shadow part underneath that bottom curve of that X of his nose. I'm going to fill that in with black. And then around his ears, the darkest part of his ears, we can use the edge of this brush, not the flat bit, but the edge of this brush, to just brush a few hairy bits of black down the side of his face, around his ear. His hair would go down on his face, underneath his chin. Let's give him a little bit of hair underneath his chin, and in his chest area, following the curve of his face going round as well. We're going to put some shadow around his chin area. Anyway, it's the shadow first, so anywhere that's going to be the darkest, I'm adding in more black. So a bit of shadow around the left hand side of his face, and hairy bits off the left hand side of his face, hairy bits off the bottom of his ear on the left hand side, and then some hairy bits off his ear on the right hand side. His hair would come down and round his ear, and around the underside of his chin on the right hand side of his face. So following the curve of his nose, which goes around that oval pale yellow that we've done for his nose, paler yellow, I'm going to put a lot of shadow hair which flicks out and over that bluish area of his body. Over, it's black that we're putting in now, it's the darkest bit. So hairy bits around his ear and hairy bits around his nose and around the curve of his face. And we need to put his eye in as well, and his eye would be in the line straight up from the right hand side of his nose and probably towards the bottom area of his ear. So if you do a bisect of those two lines, that's probably where his eye would be, on the right hand side. We're only giving him one eye. His fringe goes off on the left. So that eye would be starting from the right edge of his rounded nose and be probably about a quarter of the way up his ear, or towards the bottom of where his ear hits his head. Let's pick up some orange, and I'm going to give him some hair now in his ears using the side of the angled shader brush. You can use the round brush for this as well, whichever brush suits you, but the side of this angled shader is what I'm going to use. Let's try that round brush so that you can see what that looks like. Whichever brush makes you feel more comfortable, that's the one you use. I put a bit of white in with my red and yellow mix, my orange mix. And if you've used orange and you don't have red and yellow mix, put a bit of white in your orange. Orange on top of black tends to go brown. So if you change it with a little bit of white, it changes the opacity, makes it more of an orange as opposed to a brown. It'll stay orange. I'm going to put a few little bits of lighter color because the yellow changed quite a bit on his nose. Let's put a second layer of lighter color around his nose area to make his nose stronger, make it stand out more on his face. With a nice round snout. A little bit of white and yellow mix there to make it a nice light nose. Second layer. If yours is already quite light, you don't need to do this. Mine wasn't light enough, so I'm actually adding a little bit more color. Give him a lighter nose. Leave his chin dark, it's the darkest part. Wash that brush off. And let's add a bit more black to that bottom section for another layer. If you're working as fast as I am on this, you will find that the colors blend a bit more, so a second layer works. And I'm giving him some more hair around his chin, and some more hair around the side of his nose, around the side of his face. And that hair around the side of his face on the left hand side must match the hair on the right. So if you've got hair on the left, match it up to some of the hair on the right. So his face is in proportion left and right. I'm doing lots more hair over the top of his nose that follows the curve of his nose to make it look rounder. So this is sideways hair, follows the curve of his nose. And it's in black. I can still see some of the blue underneath because layers matter. When you do painting with acrylic and it dries so quickly, layers matter. You need to see the layer underneath. Few gaps in your top layer. Let's add some more hair to his ears now. I've added in a bit more white and orange. Second layer of hair to his ears. Still using the round brush for this, but you can use the angled shader if it works for you. A smaller detail, whatever brush works for you. Try them all out, see the best one. The hair on his back is long and flowy. You can make it curly. I'm doing the yellow and orange hair on his back, and it's nice and long and flowy. Don't cover all of your layer of blue in the background. You need to see it. So underneath his ear, I'm doing long, flowy, orange, with a bit of white in it, hair. You can make it straight, you can make it layered, but make sure that the hair on his body is different from the hair on his ears. It's longer. And it's all about the layers, so add in a few straight red ones, especially as they go towards the bottom of the body. Your hair will become darker. So I'm putting in a couple of white layers to lighten up the hair around his body, but underneath his chin they will go darker, more purple, more red, something that just gives you a darker color hair that curves around his body towards the bottom of his body. All these beautiful different colors and layers for his hair on his back, and they're all long. Around the edge of his mouth, we're going to put some of that pale orange, but it's short hair. So around let's break up the edge of his rounded nose with a few bits of hair that go from inside that rounded nose to outside over the darker colors, and they'll go down and round. Down and round on the left, down and round on the right. Across the top of his nose, we've got some darker hair there. I'm going to add in a few little tiny bits of lighter hair, which all come towards the middle of his nose, so they'll flow around his nose. Use that black hair that we've got underneath as the shadow. Tiny bits of hair around the edge of his face. These are little bits of hair around the edge of underneath his eye. They're all the short hairs. Add in some pale blue with this brush, so wash your orange off, put on some pale blue, and around his eye, let's skirt around his eye with some pale blue hair, which follows the curve of his eye, so it makes his eye a little bit brighter, and then that hair would then curve down around the bottom of his eye, so straight little curves of hair around the bottom of his eye and around the top right of his eye, highlighting and lightening up that area around his eye. I'm going to add in a few of those little pale blue hairs all the way around his eye, up the right hand side of his face, a few in between the orange hairs on his face as well, some slightly lighter hair, and leave the shadow, the right hand side of his face, leave it in the dark, so it's got some dark hair around the right hand side of his face. But around his eye, on his eyebrow, and the hair on his eyebrow will go down, little tiny bits of hair. Remember to leave some of the darker colors in between, so your background color needs to show in between your bits of hair. I'm going to highlight it a bit more around the top of his eye, so I can see his eye really nice and clear. And all of the hair around the bottom area will follow the curve of his face and go down, down and around. I'm only doing the right hand side of his face because all of the left hand side will be fringe. Let's put a little bit of that light blue across the bottom section just above his mouth area, little triangle of that lighter blue in the bottom part of his nose, just above his lip, because that black downward line on his snout is his lip actually. And then let's start on his fringe. Pick a spot somewhere on the top of his head where his fringe would start, and his fringe is nice long flowy stripes of hair that will go off and to the left, so they look like they're coming from that spot on the top of his head, and they'll flow down and around to the left. They are long bits of hair, long flowy bits of hair, so I'm placing them quite nicely. They will get thinner and thinner the further to the left they go. Come outside of his skull. If they go down to the right, they will be long and flowy, and they'll curve down maybe over his ear, maybe over the edge of his horn. This is orange with a little bit of white in it, not a lot of white, so there's quite a lot of orange in there. Let that flow off around his eye, over the edge of his forehead, over the edge of that purple, that dark blue-black color that we had to start. Layers and layers of hair which come up from up inside his skull area and out of his skull area, up over the top, and then down and round and to the left. Flowy, long locks. So the idea is to cover enough of that edge of the blue-black area so you don't see it eventually when you've done your layers of hair for your Finlay. I'm going to add a few darker, shadowy, hairy bits back in. Especially where they can cover over the edge of that bluey black area. You can do some wisps of hair as well, because it's not all long, so some wisps of hair coming off there too. It's all about the layers and individual hairs. So wash that brush in between each color change so that you don't get a blend of the colors, and do an individual hair at a time. Your hair can crisscross. It goes outside of the face. It's long and it's flowy. You can make it flow any which way you want. If you cover up your left ear, you can always go and paint it back in with your flowy locks. Make sure that the locks go over the edge of the face now though. And as you go to a second layer, third layer, I've just put a few dark bits in, but as you go higher, you make your layers lighter. This is a yellow and white blend. More yellow than white. Still using the round brush for this, and using the shape of the round brush for this. Individual bits of hair that flow down and around his face, cover the top of his head so you can't see that original edge of his head. And these locks are flowing down and off to the left. Just put some of these lighter colours in his back as well, so it's not just that orange and red and purple in his back area. Some nice bright yellow bits, yellow and white mix. Yellow on its own is a bit transparent. Add in some white, nice thick paint, long, thin, curly strips of hair paint. And you can go back and add other layers to the hair on his ears if you wish. I'm putting in a red now so it matches his back. You can use the very small brush for this, or you can use the big round brush, or you can use the angle shader, whichever suits you. The little round detail will give you the smallest brush strokes though. Long flowy locks for his hair, long flowy locks for his back, short ones on his face. I'm going to make his nose just that little bit darker. The nose area just a little bit darker. Blend it in with the bottom section of his nose, and those top sections of that snout area are round. They are round. Don't make them too sharp of the purple area. And some pale purple now. I'm putting some hair, pale purple, pale blue hair back into his chin area. The chin area is the darkest bit, but you can put some hair back on top of that, little bits of that blue hair back on top of his chin area. Across the top of his horns, as I said, at any stage you can go and add more colour. Across the top of his horns I'm going to add some lighter yellow back in, because I can see it's blended out. So I'm following the top curve of the horns, and you don't have to make a straight line. Some blobs of this lighter colour across the top curve of his horn just show where the sun might be catching his hair, his horns. It's all layers. Tiny bit of white on his nose, where the sun might be catching the very top of his nose. The sun will definitely be catching the top of his fringe, so we can make some nice light areas around his fringe as well. Plain white. And the more layers you add, the less paint you have to put on. I'm using the side of the brush and dragging it off to the left so that I get a nice thin end to the hair around his face. And if it doesn't all go in the same direction, it won't look combed. So you can make it flow over, crisscross over, side of the brush, drag it off so that you can get that nice thin edge off the side of the brush when you've taken the hair off the edge. Over his ear. Individual locks. And you can crisscross. As I say, they don't all have to go in the same direction because it's hair, it's flowing every which way. Adding a few bits of details around his eye. You can make it go over his eye if you wish. You can hide his eye if you wish. When you feel that you've got enough hair and it's nice and full and rich and he's got these beautiful flowing locks and they're all heading off in the wind to the left, flopping over his eye. Step away from your canvas and have a look to see if you need to add any more. Remember, the hair will get thinner towards the edge of the hair line. Last thing we need to do is put a tiny white dot inside the black in his eye for where the sun is shining and catching that light inside, that little twinkle in his eye. Bottom curve of his eye, just a small smile shape. Leave the corner of his eye, but it's a little smile curve of orange and white mix. When you put the orange in his eye, it looks like an eyeball of brown. Orange on top of black makes a brown. Inside the curve of his nose, we need to put a tiny dark section inside the curve of his nose for his nostrils, his nostril area. So I'm putting a little dot of black on either side underneath that purple in his nose area for his nostrils. A few more details. This is your time to titivate, so if you want to go and add in a few more details of hair here and there, if he's not hairy enough, if the shape of his face isn't quite right, if you need some more hair over the top of his nose, this is your time. A little bit more shadow underneath the curve of his horns. Step away from your canvas, have a look and see if you need to add more shape, color, blobs and layers of paint. All of the layers underneath should now be dry, except for his fringe where we've just added in the middle of his nose. So everything now would be a top layer. Inside his eye, make sure he's got a little triangle on the left of black and on the right of black, and that curve of his eye is actually round, that orange shape. And we're done.